Ryan, that's you.
Hello, everybody. All right, welcome back. We had our week off as some of our cast was at PAX Australia, but we're super happy to be back. So, welcome. This is the Dead Aussie Gamers. That is his face, and this is his place. Michael's not feeling the best, so I'm going to do a little bit of intro and we're going to get back into the game. So, first of us, if you are new here, we have a lot of really fun ways in which you can interact with what it is that's going on through different donations. Everything from giving the players inspiration to giving me inspiration to let me re-roll some of the bad guys. You can make donations in order to make an alien artifact appear, and our donation tier, we have a donation tier where you and I will work together in the week between games, and we will create a very special NPC character who will be a part of the crew or will show up in that next game and be a part of that adventure. So take a look at those donation tiers. We want to say thanks to a couple of folks that are out there. Big thanks to Roll20, where we're playing our game, and to Sirenscape for the wonderful music and effects that you hear. But hey, most importantly, we want to say thanks to you. Now, we mean it. We love having everybody here, and thanks so much for being our audience. Let's go ahead and jump into the episode. Roll that beautiful bean footage. The captain is dead. After almost 2 months aboard the ship, looking for a safe and fast passage to Kryn space, at the very edge of the system, a giant nebula whale, a creature of myth and legend that few people have ever even heard of. Nobody on this ship was interested, whether they were interested in the ship or the strange lattice work of magical crystals, or perhaps the crashed ship, the derelict ship that the Northwest came upon. We might not know, but it did attack our ship, and in doing so, swallowed the captain, and a number of crewmen were killed. The crew, thinking very quickly and with an amazing shot from Lockjaw setting the derelict ship ablaze, they were able to distract the nebula whale and make their escape. But now it's on to a much more somber thing. The captain has been laid to rest with her burial at sea, burial in space, and the ship finds itself free of the wild space system of their home, and well and truly in the astral sea. The biggest challenge facing the crew is that there is no captain at this point. People have been mourning in their own ways, the funeral for the captain and the other crewmen who were killed. Just about everybody is on deck and milling about, sort of trying to figure out what it is to do next. When looking around, one of the sailors, a dwarven woman, not a dwarven woman, a deep gnome woman that you recognize, that usually works in the artificer's shop with Ruin, sort of speaks up and says, "All right, who's it going to be then? How are we going to do this? Who wears the hat?" And it sets off a flurry of mumbling and talking and raised voices. And it seems that there are camps that are starting to form as 3, 4, 6 small groups of the fairly small crew break off as they try to say, well, they think they know who it is that should take over. Lots of eyes falling on our officers, and especially on Lockjaw, who is the XO. But in this loud conversation, not quite an argument yet, is where we pick things up. And what are all of you doing in this?
Will's going to sort of move to, I guess, circle the wagons with the other officers. Not pull everyone out of sight, but move a little bit away, perhaps out of immediate earshot of all of the crew, to converse a bit amongst ourselves. All right, well, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I figure we should probably have words about this before we and sort of approach the crew with a unified front. It's confusing enough without multiple people in positions of authority contradicting each other.
There needs to be a line of order. And, as far as I'm concerned, it's already been set. If we want to respect the wishes of our previous captain, I'm next in line. I have that burden, but this is not a democracy. This is a ship.
Well, I'm inclined to agree. I think perhaps we need to be a little bit more sensitive to the ship's and the crew's needs. Now, you know me, Lockjaw. I'm going to back you up no matter what you decide, because, you know, the order is the order. But we are in deep space, deep trouble, and there are people here who doubt whatever leadership might be here. What we need to do is we need to show or convince them that the way that the previous captain had set out our ranks and our orders was, in fact, the best thing for where we are right now.
All right. Well, Ruin, am I correct in my assumption that you want nothing to do with the captain's hat?
No. Not no.
I assumed as much, but I didn't want to speak for you.
Not that would be funny as hell, though.
Oh, I already owe Ruin a drink or two or 12. I don't need to necessarily add to the bar tab right now. But Lockjaw, since you seem like you're laying claim to the position, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, I would be curious to know, as acting captain, what you think the next step should be.
Well, we've still got repairs needing to be done. We managed to salvage some resources from the Demeter that was dead in the water. But we need to go forward. We need to find Krinspace. I think our job is just making sure that we've got a ship that can fly and food to fill bellies.
At about this time that you're all sort of you're standing around, and the sort of the joke got made, and Lockridge sort of laughs and claps Ruin on the back at his absolute refusal to want anything to do with leadership or responsibility. And you can't make out individual conversations, but you see that there's a group that sort of is pointing at Lockjaw and is making the crowd sounds to be supportive and saying good things. And there's this other group that's pointing at Lockridge and Ruin, and you can see that they're sort of arguing back and forth. And you even see there's two guys that are a guy and a woman, who one is gesturing very angrily at Will and sort of and the woman is sort of making these placating gestures of trying to calm him down and say, well, I don't know, maybe. And like the volume on deck is rising when there is a loud sort of ooh from one little pocket of these, and there is an older human man, probably in his mid 50s, long blonde hair that's braided back. He's pretty much he's a deckhand. He mans the cannons when those are needed, and then there's another half elven guy, and the half elf has just punched the human just straight in the face, and the guy, like, he takes it and is raring back to probably just absolutely massacre this half elf. And Tig is the deep gnome who is like holding onto one of his legs to hold him back. And it's at that point you actually see the chimpanzee that Lana had turned into. She had shape-shifted into in order to get up the stairs. She's normally too big in her drider form to get up the stairs from below deck. She's in the middle of all of this, and the chimpanzee form sort of just evaporates in a puff of smoke, and there she is in her, from foot to foot, probably a good 15 feet across. She's almost 10 foot tall, full drider form on deck. And everyone is knocked. A bunch of people are knocked out away. And she says I have to remember Lana's voice. It's been a really long time.
I think she spoke with a Yorkshire accent.
We're gonna go with Wisconsin. She said, "Now that is enough. Okay, we all have a lot of feelings that are going on right now, but this is ridiculous. Tig, Baldwin, Ashcroft, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Now, the captain has always given me free reign over the galley, and what I say in the galley goes. And right now I'm on the deck, and that's not the galley. So, we need right now is a good hearty meal and an extra ration of small beer, and everyone, you get down below deck right now."
Can I back up Lana at all?
You can if you want to. Absolutely.
Yeah,
before whatever you're gonna do to back her up, make a charisma check for me, please. Make a persuasion or intimidation, whichever one you want. You don't have to tell me which one it is. Okay. You need to beat. Well, you do have to tell me because you're gonna roll it. And I'm gonna see it.
It also will show up.
It will show up. That's what I was just going to say. But you need to beat a 15.
Nah.
Will is going to move up behind Lockjaw and help if possible.
Oh my god.
This is happening real quick. We're going to let that roll stand. But yeah, what do you say and do?
So he's trying to come off intimidating, but I think he just kind of comes in too late. Like,
okay, that's fine.
Instead of coming in to interrupt the reaction, and kind of be like, yes, exactly, follow Lana, and none of this is gonna be happening here. It's kind of after it's already quietened it down, and like people already had it heading down into the galley, so it just seems like a really, really impotent kind of act of like, I'm in charge here.
No, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, so
what
whatever
she
you
said.
Whatever Lockjaw says there, like a quarter of the crew is already making their way downstairs, and so like some people kind of grumble and kind of look over their shoulders like, oh, okay. Yeah. But there are a few people that you see, like, they're just kind of like, yes, he understands what it is that's going down to backing up the crew.
Oh no, my backers are idiots.
So as that happens, Lockridge sees kind of like the murmuring and stuff like that, and will will literally like, just open his huge hippo jaws out and just yell out. I'm not gonna yell, but he's gonna basically say, "I didn't hear any of you sound off, you Weasley maggots." Very Scottish, but that's where it is.
That's fine.
And I'm gonna
That's okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try and help supplement the intimidation check.
I mean,
Sure, roll it. Let's see what pops up. If it's a 1 or a 20, something will happen.
Well, it's 1. It's definitely a 1. Look at that. Mwah!
Wait, was it really? It hasn't popped up yet.
Hasn't it?
Yeah, did you
Oh, well, what a shame. That wasn't a 1. What am I talking about? Yeah.
Well, we know Michael is such an honest guy that was a 1. Absolutely. Okay.
How do you spell 1? Like, I didn't pass 3rd grade. Is that with a 2 and a 0? Is that a 1? Shit. Okay.
As you say that, there is this is the frailest, wispiest, oldest member of the crew, and not in a like grizzled old salt kind of way. This guy is like, he had no other options, and the Shrine of Talos wouldn't let him stay there anymore. And like, it's an act of charity that he's even on here. He's on the ship as hospice, and he just walks up to you after you get done like intimidating everybody. At least that's what you tried to do.
Yeah.
And he just places a hand up on your like bicep and pats you, and he says, "You try your best. We know." And he just like shuffles like he's shit himself on down. That was what just happened on deck.
So Will looks over. Go ahead.
So below deck, we'll say we'll jump like a half an hour ahead of time, ahead of this moment. Lana is back below deck. She shifts into like a harpy eagle, and sort of like flaps and glides down, and you see her like screech at a couple of the rabble rousers, the folks that, regardless of who they were trying to support, had been shoving and screaming. She screeches at them and sort of puts them in their place a little, and then transforms back into herself at the galley and starts cooking. And like, she drops a pot and pan here and there. Like, she's clearly uncomfortable with what she just did, but also the situation. But an actually pretty good meal is getting served. There's meat, and there's roasted vegetables, and there's a good hearty like broth, seafood broth that's getting served. And everybody has their regular ration of beer, but there's also a small beer, so like not in size, like it's watered down, that everybody gets an extra ration of. And like, people have calmed down, but there clearly are some pockets. There are pockets of sort of support, and it seems just by glancing around that there are sort of 3 or 4 main groups that have all sort of clumped together like high school lunchrooms. And you would get, well, the reason that they are clumped together is up to you to find out. This is a chance for the 4 of you to do what you used to do for the captain, which was kind of damage control and also taking the temperature of this crew. And you are free now to wander from group to group. There's 4 main groups, to see what it is that they are saying and what they have to say. So we're just going to call these groups A, B, C, and D, since you don't really know yet who is saying what with any of the others. But let's go ahead and actually just roll initiative for me. And
okay. That's a fun
combat.
way of doing it. Just a way of making a scene, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is 7.
That's a 3.
Boy, howdy. I don't know what is up with my rolls today.
All right. Well, that gets us. I mean, you say that, but you also rolled the highest.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
7
I don't
is
need
the
to roll
highest
high.
roll
I
we
just
have
need
there.
to roll higher than everyone else.
Yes. So Lockridge, there's 4 groups that are sort of partitioned off around the place. There's 2 groups that are in the galley. There's 1 group that's in the crew quarters, and there's another group that is in the stowage section at the port side aft of the ship. Which of those groups do you want to go to between A, B, C, and D? And well, tell me which group you want to go to first.
I think I want to go to the people who are maybe everyone's currently eating, right?
It's like hot dish. Like everybody's got like a bowl.
Yeah,
like they're standing around. Yeah.
Well, then I kind of want to hang around like the clump that might be nearest to Lana.
Nearest to Lana? Okay. Yeah, you walk up to them, and nobody like ices you out. Nobody like puts shoulder to shoulder. But you see that like you can tell that the conversation quiets and sort of shifts a little to the like they start talking about the weird crystal magic net that you guys were dealing with, and you kind of think that maybe that's not what they were talking about. But yeah, you walk up to this. They make room. They don't ice you out or anything like that. But so yeah, go for it. Take it away.
Well, I know, lads, lasses, everyone on this ship, we've had hard lots, but we've also fought off a nebula whale, and we've pillaged a great wreckage of a ship, and we've put out fires, and we've defeated beasts with more legs than a whorehouse.
Nice. Yeah, a couple of the guys, a couple of the men and women, kind of chuckle. A couple. Yeah. There's one. There's one half orc woman who she laughs, and then she's like, she looks mad that she laughed at your joke and like stops herself from laughing and goes back to being very interested in the like piece of ham that she has. But like you got her to laugh, but then she was like,
damn it, that's vaguely misogynist. Oh, I didn't say whose legs, did I? Also takes all sorts.
Make an insight check with that little joke that you got in there. Make an insight check with advantage.
Okay. All right. Let's roll my first one. Jesus Christ! And
it's consistent.
All the saints above. All right. Well, thankfully I have.
You've rolled 3 7s. It's got to be lucky. Your next one.
That's heaven's number, right? Okay, 13. That's okay. Not that much better, but
double digits.
So
oh my god.
So with a 13, you get the idea that this group doesn't have real solid feelings on not liking anyone. But you would guess that you're probably not their first pick, but they're not antagonistic towards you whatsoever, and things kind of lighten up a little bit, and a couple of them kind of knock your glass and start calling you XO, using your title, and finally one of them kind of pipes up. It's the half orcish woman. And you see her, she slams her bowl down and it spills a little bit. The one who didn't like, you think she just didn't like your joke. She slams her bowl down, clearly upset. and sort of looks you eye to eye, and she says, permission to speak openly, XO.
Well, I think I'll knock this back, and then you can be as open as you like.
Okay.
Nothing that can get through this skin, wiry as it may be. What's on your mind?
A lot of us have sailed with you for a long time. And truth be told, you're one of the better XOs that I've ever served with. But if I'm honest with you, sir, well, you're pretty reckless with your own life. And how is it that we're supposed to trust you to not be reckless with ours if you're the one wearing the hat?
It's a fair point. You care about your safety, and that's fair enough. But you all knew getting onto this ship that the good times would be, well, they're really good. But the bad times are where we're stuck the most. It's more of the valleys than it is the hills. And while I might seem reckless, it's because I do enjoy my life. But I enjoy it knowing that it's not going to be a long life. It's going to be a hard life. But it hopefully will be a good life. And when or if this ship goes down, I can assure you, you'll want the reckless one staying behind to see it off.
She sort of takes a step towards you, and actually go with
decks me in the face.
Just yeah. Make a charisma saving or will saving throw.
Will? Is that wisdom?
Wisdom?
Or...
Yeah, wisdom. Yeah,
Okay,
sorry, I always
yep.
say will.
No,
Make
that's
a
all
wisdom
right.
saving throw.
That's an 11. My rolls are just trizash.
Ooh. So this is a dead even tie with her intimidation check and your
Interesting.
save. But she takes a step towards you, and she's like I was gonna say an inch. So she's what did we just say? 32 millimeters away. She's about 32 millimeters away from your nose, and like the other folks step aside, and actually some of the other groups, the other group that's in the galley has gotten quiet and is kind of trying to listen in, but quiet enough that you're probably the only one that can hear it. She says, "You just tell me that if I die on this voyage, I'm gonna die because I'm getting et by something, or because something out of our control, and I'm not going to die because of a bad call made by the person in charge."
Well, you got 2 legs, 2 arms, and a brain. I know we all follow a captain's orders, but I'm sure if I ordered you to fling yourself off into space, you wouldn't do it. I'm going to make the best call I can, and I'm going to fight till there ain't no tooth in me head to make sure that if anyone goes down, it's going to be me.
Okay. Give me a second to look at something real quick.
Get so nervous when you say that. Let me just look at something real quick. I'm looking at a table of monsters.
No, I'm pulling up your character sheet.
It's a spell called Motivational Speech Spiders. They crawl out of your mouth mid-sentence.
Motivational.
Very motivating when the spiders.
Now, there's a first level spell called Assassinate Lockjaw, and I just need to see the components.
First level.
Very niche. It doesn't come up often.
Please make Please make a performance check with advantage.
Ooh.
Have I just completely put my foot in it?
Doesn't look like it to me.
Yeah,
No.
Roy.
During these little interlude things, let's just go ahead and say that all of the officers can hear what's going on unless one of you says, I want this to be private.
Yeah.
Because all the officers are cooperating with each other, at least so far. Dun, dun, dun. The roll 1d20.
Talk about it, talk about
+2.
it, talk about it, talk about it.
Ooh, yeah.
What's Lockjaw's armor class?
12.
12. Yeah, so 14 does it. So she puts a hand on your shoulder,
Great.
and headbutts you. So take 1 point of damage.
Great.
It is immediately clear to you that this is not an aggressive action.
Okay.
Well, you better tell Lockridge because I'm going to blow her fucking head off.
Lockjaw.
No, I know. I just saw I
He's my boy.
Lockridge, the very impatient, very very rambunctious
Right.
hippopotamus with a shotgun, just saw this person walk up, whisper something which I couldn't really hear, into the ear of Lockjaw before headbutting him.
So hold on. Yeah, no. I love it. There. So within the span of like 2 or 3 seconds, she puts her hand on your shoulder, and like headbutts. And immediately flashes the biggest grin. There's like 4 people in this group that like cheer and start clapping. And she's like, now that arm that was on your shoulder is like around your shoulder in sort of a moment of camaraderie with you. Okay, so having seen that be what it is that took place,
Yeah.
And you notice in the other group here in the galley, like there are a couple of people that seem to be pleased with that. Then there's a couple of people that seem to be less than pleased with that. So Lockridge, since
Lockridge will
because you
start.
jumped in and it totally makes sense.
Yeah, he'll start the action, but then as I imagine. As they turn around away from Lockjaw, they'll see Lockridge sitting back down with the rifle, just kind of like.
Yeah, that's great.
It's just
fantastic.
Yeah, it's just there's it's almost no hesitation, but because everyone kind of caught onto it, it's like I'm watching.
That's
you.
awesome. That's hilarious.
Look, I don't want to be captain, but I'm security. You best be sure of that.
Speaking of Lockridge, we're gonna sort of pan the camera over to Lockridge, and so there's this group that Lockjaw has just gotten done speaking with. There's another group that is in the galley, and you know where the other 2 are. What would you like to do? Is there a specific group that you would like to go sort of mingle and talk with?
Yeah, I'll go and talk with some of the crew that were helping out on the lower decks, because the lower decks were obviously a bigger blaze, and I imagine they're like more like tired, exhausted, and weary. But as I do, I'm gonna reach into my bowl of like stew and pull out like a big chunk of meat, and I open my jaw and I go to bite it, and as I do, there's this like sound like splintering wood, and he's like, "Oh, my tooth! Oh my god, it's changed my voice. What's happened to my accent? Oh, it's insane." Oh, I'll deal with that later. I'll get the cleric to cast a healing spell. Oh wait, that's right.
We're giving Michael a little bit of leeway tonight. He's not at his best, but he's still here to entertain all of you.
All right.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? All right. So Lockridge goes over to the to those guys who like I said, were helping put out a lot of the fires that were like deeper into the ship, and I want to bring them like some of the grog that we liberated, some of the rum, and sort of place it down.
Great. So they're in one of the stowage cabins. So there's a little bit of not quite privacy, but there's a half a wall between this. And oddly enough, so as you walk up, the barrel of grog the half barrel of grog that you would have brought them, you see that like one of their guys sort of Captain Morgan style, has his foot on that already. Like he's using it to lean up against. And as you walk in, people like flash you grins, and some of them are warm grins. Some of the grins would potentially almost make you a little uncomfortable. Not like they're threatening to you, but just like that these aren't great people. But this group, as opposed to simply existing while you walk up, this group opens up and welcomes you into the circle immediately upon seeing you. And actually, one of them sort of passes by and pats you on the shoulder as he goes and just sort of like leans against the doorway, kind of to stop anyone else. Kind of to stop anyone else from coming in after you. But he's still close enough to hear what it is that's going on. This group, even before you've said anything, is incredibly responsive to your presence.
Hey guys, what's going on?
One of them, it's the guy with it's Captain Morgan posing on the barrel, and let's see, what would your rank be? We'll call you a sergeant. We'll call you a gunnery sergeant.
Nice.
That seems to make sense.
Love it.
So he sort of smiles at you and he says, "Oh, well, hey there, Gunny," and he like clicks the heel of his boot on the top of the thing, and like the top of the barrel comes flipping off, and he grabs it, and they clearly have already opened this, and one of them dunks a mug into it and hands you a full mug of ale. And after that, he sort of flashes you this smile that's slightly uncomfortable because it has a allusion to how much he enjoys maybe doing bad things in his previous life. He says, we're all just sitting here waiting for the right man for the job to step up.
Oh yeah? And what are you looking for from this right man? I'll basically pour the contents into my mouth. Basically, like a mug is just like a mouthful for Lockjaw's huge mouth. Like,
right.
Just
sure. And he says, "Well, I can tell you that the wrong man for the job would be a man who comes in here with their fine clothes and sweet perfumes and their scrolls and sits away mumbling to themselves. The wrong man would be a man that can't go 2 steps without drinking themselves blind. And the wrong man would be the kind of man that hasn't had the idea of command for longer than about 2 weeks. So who does that leave us, Gunny?"
I'll use the mug and sort of I'll hand him the mug again to see if he like grabs me another round.
He kind of looks at it and he smiles, and like he takes it and then hands it to one of the other guys that are there, and like they've all like they're sitting on things, they're sort of laughing with each other. One of them has pulled open a crate that is supposed to have like lead shot in it. It has cheese, and there's a couple of like coin bags that are in there. There's a bottle of wine that's in there. It looks like there's some like salted jerky that's in there. Like all of a sudden there's these hidey holes that are opening up in this room some of them are like showing off now that you're in the room, that they have these little stashes. And like at any point that you accept what's being handed to you, it's stuff. It's just like, hey, you're part of the club now.
Oh yeah, no, I smuggled away my own things as well, so I'm not even hesitating. This doesn't I'm not batting an eyelid at this. I'm like, all right, reasonable. I can respect your keen edge to want to survive this rather shit situation we find ourselves in. But listen, I know what you're trying to do here. And I appreciate it and the vote of confidence. But my role has never been that of a leader. My job has always been to make sure that whatever person is wearing perfume or reading books or even maybe having one too many at dinner stays alive. And that's not going to change whether or not I'm in the captain's seat or if I'm right where I want to be.
So this guy sort of leans back, and he looks at a couple of the other guys, and he sort of thinks for a second. He says, "Okay, Gunny. So if it's not you in the hat, who would you throw your?" And he like points at your shotgun. Who would you throw your vote behind if you had to choose just one?
He looks at his gun, then he looks around. He gives it some real thought this time. Before it was kind of like a reflexive, like this is the chain of command, this is the order. But now Lockridge is giving it some real thought here. He says, Lockjaw gives quite a strong presence on the ship. He knows this place better than he knows the bottom of any kind of alcohol barrel. And for that, Lockridge has always had my trust. But you're right, there are definitely times where, their particular vice can cause a few problems here and there. But it's nothing that we're all not suffering from. We all have our own little things. For I, for one, like to enjoy my own midnight snack, But I wouldn't want people to define me by that. As for Will, I think Will is an ideas man, not a decision man. And I think being an officer suits Will because, we need people to come up with plans, but we need people with the stones to be able to make these calls, hard or not. I haven't seen blood on his hands, and I'm not sure what would happen if it did. Strangely enough, Ruan seems to be very, very down to earth. But the chair is not for him, if you know what I mean. Because there's a hunger that comes with it. Because if you don't seek power, if you don't seek wealth, if you don't seek survival, then what are you doing in the seat? What are you fighting for, and who are you fighting it with? We don't have a perfect captain, and I don't think we ever will. But as long as all the officers work together, no matter who comes in charge, we'll survive. My vote right now is for Lockjaw, as the most experienced member on the ship. And just between us, I'm not going to tell anyone about the all of this stuff. Look, truth be told, I've got a few hidey holes myself. But I want you to know that if you ever feel as though you can't come to Lockjaw for something, you'll always have my ear. Because whether or not I'm in that captain's seat, I'm always going to be looking out for you and for everyone.
Oddly enough, so I would like you to make, with your breakdown of everyone's past accomplishments, would like you to make a history check with advantage.
Ooh, actually have history. And I rolled a natural one again.
Wow.
And you know what's a good chaser for that natural one? A freaking 3. Yum yum yum. Look at that.
Look, a 3 is better than a 5 is better than a natural.
That's very
1.
true. It's very true. But roll 20 could use some double digits. Just saying.
I was about to say, I don't think we've only broken double digits like once or twice this session.
Only a couple of times. So the guy that seems to be the leader of this little microcosm seems pretty. He seems to he's nodding along. He's following it what it is that you're saying. But there's another guy that's sort of standing to his left who like slams his he'd been eating an apple, carving an apple and eating it. And he slams his dagger down into the top of a crate at the end of that and says, and if that drunkard is going to lead us into certain death or into something that's going to shipwreck us or catch us in one of those traps like back there, do you have the stones to be a good second in command and relieve him?
Thinking about that, he says, if it comes to that, you have my word, I will not hesitate. And I want you to understand what that means to me, because Lockjaw is like family, and it will not be easy. But if strength is what you seek, and it would make you feel more secure on this ship, at the very least I can give you that. And I'll what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off one of my medals, and I'm going to give it to Captain Morgan, the guy standing on it.
Yeah.
And,
you know what? That NPC's name is Morgan.
Oh,
that's
right.
that's what that
I'm going
is.
to give it
Morgan.
to Crewman Morgan, and I will say, if ever you lose faith, you give that back to me.
Nice. So with that, about half of the crew, half of this group that's in here, you see them all, they're like messing with their hand, and you see them all take off a little pinky ring that you just, now that they're all doing it, it's like 5 guys. You notice that everyone in this room is wearing one, and 5 of them, like almost in a line, they walk up and like look you in the eye, and they just drop, they look at you, and then they look Morgan in the eye, and they just drop the ring on the top of the barrel in front of them, and those 5 walk out, and there's about 4 or 5 left, including Morgan, left in the room with you, that all seem pretty happy with how this conversation went.
All
right.
I'm going to scoop up the
That
rings.
takes. Yeah, make a dex check. Make a dex check. Morgan's fast.
Oh, listen here. I don't want much in life, but shiny things. I like shiny things.
After all these very
Oh,
speeches.
that's
Oh, so Morgan gets them right before you. No, it's not close. It's not close.
No, it's
Morgan
not close
gets
at all.
them,
Yeah.
and then you start to go.
And then wait, I
Um,
want to try a bluff check to make it pretend like I was trying to get alcohol instead of like fucking up.
Let's say this: he gives it to you. You can tell it worked on everyone except for him. And he holds one of the rings out to you, and it's just a simple little silver ring that's got like a flat disc on the top, and it's like someone with a knife has etched a little triangle into it, and he just hands you one of the rings. You could like clip it in as an earring.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'll probably do that. Am I a stone cutter? Is that what's happening?
You just became a 4th level mason.
Oh, nice. I love it.
All right, so with that, I believe that Ruin and Will had the same roll, but I think that Will actually has Dex.
I do have a +1 to Dex. I'm happy.
Eve-
Will is happy to let Ruin go first, since Will is going to be reading the room before he approaches a group anyway.
All right, fair. Fair enough. So let's say this, Lockridge, when you sort of wander back to the other officers, do you tell them everything that happened in that room? Because I will say, since it's in a different room, you guys probably didn't hear what happened.
I won't, but I will passively be keeping an eye on the people who gave me their rings, in terms of like making sure they don't meet up and start having other quieter discussions here and there.
So the other 3, Lockjaw, Will, and Ruan, as you are paying attention, you do like you can tell that there's some frivolity going on in the room with Lockridge. And then like 5 guys come out of it that are not happy about whatever just happened. And then Lockridge and 5 other guys come out perfectly pleased in whatever it is that's gone on. Well then, yeah, let's kick it over to Ruin then. So there's a group still here in the mess hall, and then there's a group that's wandered off to one of the cabins. Or you can go find any of the other 2 groups that have already been visited, but those are the 2 groups nobody's gone to yet.
I'll go just check on the group that's here in the mess hall because I'm hungry anyway. Somebody pushed me into a chair. I need post-chair snack.
Yeah, sure. You sort of wander over to that group. And they sort of look at you, and like one guy sort of steps aside to make room for you, and the other guys like look at him funny and then kind of make room for you as well. Like no one's you're not getting the body language that they're trying to get you to leave, but like you either are going to walk up to them or you're going to be socially oblivious to this fact, one way or the other. And they kind of all go quiet as you walk up, and there's a guy, it's the half-elven guy who has who punched the one dude, the older human is in here. And he says, sir, can we help with anything?
First off, look, we're in the mess hall. Nobody is actually looking. Stop with the sir shit. Just don't. Unless somebody important is around.
So he goes, he says, oh, yes, of course, one of my teachers that really wanted us to like him, let us call him by his first name.
Okay, don't do that either. Good God. What do we have alcohol? Somebody hand me a drink.
They all sort of look around, and one of them like has their glass of beer. No, one of them turns around to a glass that is just half drunk sitting on one of the other tables and hands it to you and says, absolutely, sir. I mean, Mr. Drova.
Hell yeah, minesweeping.
And I'm just going to down it. Okay, look, so what's the scuttlebutt at this table?
Oh, well, we were just discussing the fascinating, arcane quandary of that strange interconnected web that we saw. We hadn't quite seen anything like that. All of the different crystals and the magical properties of it. We would be absolutely fascinated to hear what it is that one of our officers that are clearly skilled in such matters would have to think of what it is that we witnessed.
Okay, crewman suck ass. You don't get to talk anymore. Somebody else tell me what you were talking about.
Another one says, he's right. We just thought that the magic thing was neat. You sat in the chair. What do you think it was? And this is the guy that like let you into the circle, and like he's like, yeah, what do you think it was? And like someone elbows him like hard in the kidneys.
Did I seriously sit at the table of nerds that's not talking about the actual problems?
Looks like it.
Make an insight check. Make an insight check.
We were just playing a role-playing game.
19, absolutely. When they elbow him, it all clicks into place. They are all You know the scene. I'm going to use a reference from a movie to explain what is happening here. You know the scene when all the super smart asshole Harvard kids are making fun of Will in Good Will Hunting? That's what these crewmen are doing. They all either have been sailing longer, or they may have gone to like a naval academy or something like that. All of these guys are smart, and they're trying to ask you about stuff that they think you aren't smart enough to comment on.
All right. Listen.
So yeah, that's what's going. You realize that's what's going on.
I understand all of you are fancy sailors and whatnot, but I've got legitimately 2 jobs here, and I want to keep it that simple. I'm here to keep the ship running so you don't die and blow up anything that's trying to kill you. Do we understand this?
Make a performance or a persuasion check. Either way, your choice.
Boop. That's a 10.
Okay. Yeah, actually, so with that, the smarmy one, the one that you kind of thought might have been trying to suck up, and then you realize, oh no, he's the asshole. The smarmy one starts to say something, and then the like other guy, the guy that's getting picked on, the new guy to the group, the dork of the group, he goes, so, and like cuts the leader of this little group off, and he looks at him really bad. And he goes, so, all right, then if that's what you want to do, who is it that you would think would be good, with the hat?
Listen, I haven't been here that long. I am firmly in the camp that whoever, the chain of command is what it is. The XO's been working under the captain the longest, so we stick with that for now. I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page of, as long as it's not me.
Make a persuasion check, just one straight roll. I love that. As long as it's not me. That's going to be on your tombstone. Holy crap, was that a natural 20?
Yes, it was.
Finally.
I am very serious.
So
Otherwise, you're going straight in that leadership position, mate.
You the smarmy one takes a couple of steps forward, and like he looks at you, and then he just holds his hand out like for a handshake. Like it softens for a second. Like he's not looking at you in a diminutive way. Like he kind of looks at you as a fellow sailor and holds his hand out like a peace offering handshake.
I'll take his hand.
Okay, as he shakes your hand, he sincerely, as a compliment, says, well, as long as we all know that you understand what you are and what you aren't, we'll back your play.
I know what I'm good at and what I'm not.
Yeah, like he thought that was a compliment. Alrighty. That will take us to Will. You're welcome to go to any of the groups. The group that hasn't been visited yet is in one of the crew cabins, the cabin on the starboard side.
Does that group happen to have the 2 people who seem to be having an argument while pointing at me above decks?
No, they're not in that group. Like one of them was in the group that Lockjaw went and talked to, and then it looks like the other one was probably in that group that Lock Ridge went and talked to. As you saw them walk off, though, Villia is in this group that's holed up in the cabin. I
don't know if I need to make an insight roll for this or not. I have been under the assumption that the crew probably views Will with a certain amount of distrust as like the useless representative of the firm who's on board. Is that an accurate assumption, or
make an insight check with disadvantage?
okay? Well, that's a nat 20 and then a 3. So
sorry. You let me ask you this: Would Will's self-doubt make him more likely to think that people didn't like him, or would his arrogance make him more likely to think that everyone knows that he's here because he knows what's best for the mission?
I think the former, less self-doubt and more fatalistic.
Okay, so yeah, you're just pretty sure that you don't have a lot of friends with the enlisted.
Okay,
like whether that means they don't like you, you don't know, but you just don't think a lot of them are your friends. Like,
cool.
You don't hang out with them because you don't think that they would want to hang out with you.
Yeah, that tracks.
Okay.
Lockridge is raising.
Sorry, I just wanted to let you know we have a group inspiration from Lord Garthen, if that would help.
Well, everybody go ahead and give themselves one of those, and Will, if you want to use it for that role, you're welcome to, or if you want to save it for, because you haven't gotten to that group yet, so we haven't rolled any interactions yet. So you can save it, or you can use it if you want to.
I'm gonna hold on to it just in case. I'm fine sticking with that original assumption.
Sweet, and thank you, Lord Garthen. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So as you round the corner to the crew cabin, everyone that's there is chatting, and they actively close shoulder to shoulder to make it difficult for you to get into this group of folks. And you catch Villia's eye. Villia's the one with the leg that Ruin fixed. Mm-hmm. And Villia gives you an apologetic look, but then turns inside to the circle as well. And they completely stop talking, and you just hear like slurps of drinks and, spoons clinking on teeth.
All right. Before I rounded the corner and got directly with those people, a quick message would get sent to Lockjaw. Just saying, all right, after I've checked in with these folks, I'd like to have a chat with you one-on-one if you wouldn't mind.
You can chat with me wherever. Oh wait, it doesn't. It works both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes. You can respond.
Otherwise, Lockjaw's just speaking to no one out loud.
I'm gonna be a jerk.
It's still
I'm gonna be a
speaking
jerk.
out loud.
Call me high or low.
High. I don't know why. I should go for low, statistically. Well, not statistically.
I mean, as written, you still say the message out loud. It's just I hear it in my head.
I'm happy to say what I said out loud.
Okay, so you mumble it. You mumble it to yourself. No one will overhear it.
Okay. You can talk to me wherever, or you can come down and speak your piece. I don't know that all this wheeling and dealing is good for morale.
All right. Okay. So that happens. So you turn the corner. You see what you see. You are still an officer, of course, but that was their initial reaction.
So door to the room is open. They just sort of form a clump there, and
they're like all sort of standing in the middle of it. Like you've seen parties. And then when you come in, they all sort of shift and stand and sort of then make like a clump circle that is kind of shoulder to shoulder.
Will like brief pause at the entrance as that happens, or the eye contact with Lilia, then steps into the room and not slamming it, but not subtly at all, closes the door behind them, and then approaches the group.
Okay. Yeah, you click the door closed, and as you approach that group, they all set their drinks down and they stand at the foot of their their hammocks at attention, at ease. Like they fall in line.
Mm-hmm. This isn't an inspection, gentlemen, ladies. This is a conversation.
So they relax but sort of stay where they are, and they're all staring slightly up, unfocused middle distance. And one of them says, "What can we do for you, sir?"
Well, I was coming in here to try and see about the inverse, what I could do for y'all. Clearly, y'all were having a conversation you didn't want me to be a part of. And when that is the case, in my experience, someone here might have something that they wish they could say to me, but don't feel that they can. So let's ignore rank for a second. Doors closed, won't leave this room. What do you have to say?
A couple of them like sort of look around at each other, and then another one pipes up and just says, "We're all simple sailors, sir. Nothing to add for charts or planning or anything like that."
No, but it's important that y'all feel that you can trust the captain, which is what everyone seems to be trying to figure out right now. I'm not in here to try and convince any of y'all to cast a vote for me or to follow me or anything like that. I'm just trying to gather the lay of the land right now. There's a lot of uncertainty, and I don't like that. I'd rather know where everything stood. And I don't want to lead a ship that doesn't trust me or anything like that, much less have any designs on the ship in any way, shape, or form. I want all of us to get to safe harbor. And that's not going to happen if mutiny is a constant concern or lack of trust in the leadership of whoever's in charge of this vessel. So, as I said, this isn't an inspection. This isn't going to leave this room. I'd like to know what y'all would like to say.
Villia sort of takes a step forward. They're all still staying in this awkward we're at an inspection.
Mm-hmm.
Villia takes a step forward and like, "Sir, and then he stops like staring into the middle distance, and actually like just his shoulders relax and he turns and talks to you.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Rumor is that the only reason you're on the ship is because you bought the controlling share, because you're the one that embezzled from the last ship that you were a part of, and that you had to run, and that's how you ended up at Davies anyway."
All right. Oh, that explains a couple of things, I suppose. No, I work for the firm that hired this ship. I can show you all the paperwork if you'd like, although I doubt that you'd take that as proof necessarily. But
one of them pipes up and says, "We know how to read."
No, I was just figuring that if you assume that I embezzled a bunch of shit, I probably could forge documents. And so you wouldn't necessarily trust any papers I could show you.
The ones that aren't Villia all like start looking at each other like they hadn't thought of that before. And like two of them actually like start to go like whispering at each other. Like they never whatever it is that they thought about you, they were like, "Oh shit." Like
No.
the decorum that they were relying on has now broke,
Mhm.
and now it's just weird. Like
That's
they
fine.
almost like some of them forgot you're in the room almost.
Great. Will can deal with weird. He's used to weird. No, I'm here because the firm that I represent, sure, why not? We've had a shit week. The firm I represent has not doing too great right now and could use an influx of money and could really use a new shipping route they could lay claim to and take a little piece of everyone's pie when they came through. I'm on this vessel because trying to figure out a way to get to Kryn space was an idea that I threw my weight behind. And whether or not that this is perceived as a punishment or incentive, I was told to be on the vessel. Also to hire on a bunch of the crew, which, so I hold the contracts. That's why I'm here. And while I might not know a whole lot about the day-to-day of running ships, or at least I didn't before this, I sure as shit know how to chart a course. It was a lot of my work that got us to the Demeter, and it was my work with Ruins that got the helm working and got us away from that fucking whale. So I'm not asking that you put me in charge, but I would appreciate it if you put a bit of respect when talking to me, not necessarily in your formal words, but in your thoughts.
You put respect on my name. Okay. Please make 1 second.
Oh.
What do we want to call this? Make a performance or a persuasion check, either one.
That's going to go with persuasion.
I guess it
Performance
could be
like
deception
the
if that's
one-
what you want to roll with.
What was that?
It could be deception if that's what it is.
Persuasion, deception, and intimidation are all the same roll for me.
Oh. All right. Well,
It's what's the flavor?
That's a 20. That is a 26.
No
which is a
way.
19?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. With that, that's interesting. With that, the one who had been very like prim and proper and like, no sir, this is what we're doing, sir, da 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 da, he's not the one that chimed like, we know how to read. But that one sort of like, he steps forward in file and like turns on a sharp 90 and he steps forward, but when he gets in front of you, like, he relaxes and he looks you in the eye and he looks back over his shoulder at some of the others and he says, do you trust that Captain Lockjaw would always be clear-headed enough to make a tough call?
Do I know this sailor's name?
Yes. Absolutely. His name is Gareth.
Gareth?
Gareth with a TH. Gareth.
Mm-hmm. Will is going, like, stares directly into eyes, like eye contact in a little bit of an intense way, and says, if you'd asked me that question yesterday, I'd probably say no, but I think that with the proper folks around Lockjaw, making sure that they're staying straight, definitely. My job is to make sure that this vessel successfully completes what it's supposed to do. And I'm going to do everything in my not inconsiderable power to make sure that happens.
So you see them thinking about something. You don't know what, but like you can tell when someone's thinking. And he snaps to an attention and gives you a salute, and then like a half a second later everyone else does too, and then they relax and pick up their plates and their drinks, and they go back to sort of just talking like normal people.
All right. When saluted, we'll return the salute, and then they will, possibly with an extra sort of brief eye contact and nod to Vilya, since Vilya seemed the most personable, I guess. At original, just an acknowledgement of I see you.
Sure.
Will turns and leaves the cabin, leaves the door open behind them, the way it was when they came in.
I know Will wanted to have a private conversation with Lockjaw, and I want to leave time for that to happen. I will say, when the four of you are together again, Lana skitters up to you and says, I don't want to try to presume to give any more orders than what I did earlier, because that was just not the kind of thing that I ever want to have to do again. But I think that perhaps we leave the big decision until tomorrow morning. Let everybody get the meal finished with and a good night's sleep, if you're willing to listen to my suggestion.
That sounds good to me. If you think the crew's amenable to sleeping on it.
I think a bit of rest will do us all well. Wait, am I here? No, sorry. Have I butted in?
No, all four of you are together. And then that's when Lana comes and sort of
screams from below.
And the mood on ship seems to have calmed quite a bit. There are still clearly some people that have some very strong opinions, but nobody's shoving, nobody's voices are raised or anything like that.
Cool.
I think it's usual sailing code. This crew needs to be arriving at some sort of majority. So bellies are full and our rest will do well.
I agree. Before we turn in, Lockjaw, if you wouldn't mind meet me on the helm for a moment.
I don't mind.
Ruin or Lockridge, do you guys? Well, let's let that happen, and then you guys can, if you guys have anything.
We'll
up above deck. There's 3 or 4 crewmen wandering about or standing at their posts. You know, it's tough to ever find a time to yourself, but you know, at the helm, you guys have relative privacy, speaking in low voices if you need to.
You know what? Fuck it. Actually, since there are people above on deck, we'll actually lead Lockjaw straight to the captain's quarters.
Interesting.
Who opens the door?
Will looks at, basically clocks that there are people on deck, looks at Lockjaw, and then leads the way to the captain's quarters, but doesn't open the door until Lockjaw is there.
Do you open the door for Lockjaw, or do you wait, open the door, then you go in?
Opens the door and lets Lockjaw go in first.
Okay.
Interesting.
Sweet. You guys are in. You are in the captain's quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Bit presumptuous, don't you think?
Well, just looking for a place to talk in private, and this seemed as good a spot as any. And the way I see it, one of us two is going to be calling this their own before too long.
I agree.
Now, I don't necessarily have an interest in running a vessel with having to look over my shoulder the whole time. thinking that half the crew wants to, would rather see me not in the position I was in. However, both through my own things that I've seen, plus conversations I've had below, there are some concerns about, to be blunt, your sobriety in terms of holding such a position. And I also know that in terms of looking over my shoulder, betting against you means betting against Lockridge. And, he's got a way about him that leads me to believe that his displeasure will probably be known at some point, and entirely possibly not in a fair fight.
Oh, you cross Lockridge and you end up with a belly full of lead.
Right, and I'm fairly certain that he considers crossing you crossing him. And casting a vote against you as captain might be something he views as crossing you.
Are you asking me to stand in between you and Lockridge?
No, I'm asking you to, stop fucking drinking if you're going to be captain.
Well, as a point that may be useful in your conversation, you did see that. So Lockjaw. I mean, Lockjaw will drink whatever Lockjaw can, from what we've seen. But Lockjaw has his own flask, and you did see Lockjaw put his flask, give that up, and no longer has it anymore. That was sent as an offering to the gods when the captain was interred overboard. So you do know Lockjaw did that.
Will does not think that was Lockjaw's only flask.
Sure. Okay. Just to mention, it's also been 2 weeks, so I want to make sure that we all remember that.
Yeah.
No, fair play.
I see. And otherwise, you'd be in my corner. Is that it?
Well, I don't think there's any other really good options. Ruin shit doesn't want it. Lockridge, I don't think wants it. And I don't think enough of the crew trusts me for me to be an effective captain, whether or not I think I'd be good at the job. And that leaves you. I think you'd be a good captain, but there are concerns, as mentioned.
Well, frankly, Will, I reckon if you had a thirst for it, you'd be a good captain. But looking at you, you're as dry as a bone. I don't see any passion about you. And whether I'm 3 sheets to the wind or as sober as the day that I stood as a babe, I want to be on this ship for as long as I live. And when I die, I want it to be on this ship. If it means pouring a few shots off of the galley to convince you and the crew, then that's a sacrifice I'll have to make as captain. But I sure as shit am not drinking, not stopping drinking the whole way. Otherwise, you'll have a brain that's half functioning.
Well, here's the thing. You may intend to die on the deck of this ship. I don't intend to die on the deck of this ship. My job is to make sure that we all make it, or as many of us as possible make it, safely to where we need to get. And your lack of a real interest in avoiding dying on this ship is really where that concern comes from. And I'm not looking for a performance of you pouring something over the side of the deck. And if you think that you are operating better when 3 sheets to the wind, again, reason I don't want to be captain is I don't want to be looking over my shoulder. But if everyone's seeing that you're drinking on the job, I know that Lockridge stands behind you, but he only can watch so much. And there will be people who are looking at you. And if they see weakness, they're going to come for it. This isn't a threat. This is just from everything I've seen. I'm not coming after you. I'm just making sure everything's on the table.
Well, I appreciate your candor, but I think there's going to be a few areas where we disagree. Being afraid of looking over your shoulder means you're not looking forward. Sometimes you have to be a little reckless to make calls, but you have to stand by the convictions of your of the shots that you take. And when it comes to results, well, I went aboard the Demeter. I got us food. I shot at the whale. I think my actions speak for themselves.
Right, I've been hearing a whole lot about your actions, and I realize that mine might not necessarily be as showy as yours, seeing as how I'm not, shouting them out on the decks all the time. But you have to realize that there are those who do work, put in work, other than you. We wouldn't have gotten to the Demeter if it weren't for me. We wouldn't have gotten away from the whale if it weren't for me and Ruin. And listen, I appreciate, looking forward, but fear's not necessarily a bad thing, because fear keeps you alive. And I realize that the more we talk, the more I think that alive's not necessarily what you want to be, and that's a concern.
Well,
what do you want? You keep talking about dying on the deck of the ship. What do you actually want, Lockjaw?
I've said as much for as long as I have had breath in my lungs. I'm not that complicated. I want to sail for as long as this body lets me. I want this ship to fly true and straight. And yes, I want this crew to have a long seafaring life too. But I am just aware, I think I've been on ships for my whole life, and you'll just have to take some of my expertise on this. You can't be sailing and living this life if you're afraid of death. And I ain't afraid. And really, when I talk about death, what I'm talking about is living. That's what I want. Follow me?
I understand you. Saying I follow you might be a titch far right now. But here's the thing. I think that you're probably going to end up captain. I'm not going to fight that. I think that I probably already have enough enemies on this ship just from assumptions that are made about me, some of which were very interesting to hear earlier, I must say. But that being aside, there's only one thing I'd really ask, I suppose, considering where I'm pretty sure things are going, and that is, I can tell you this. As you are captain, I will call you on your bullshit. Probably not in front of the crew because, again, not the best look for the commanding officers to be bickering amongst themselves. But I will call you on your bullshit, and I will bring things up if I think I have credible concerns. And all I'd ask is that you stop and think about it when I bring them up, and don't just immediately shout back with some bravado about living your fullest and being reckless and dying on the deck of the ship. Because, You give good speeches. You do. I'm still just not convinced that they're not just words hiding a whole lot of hurt. So you're good at talking. I just want to make sure you listen as well. Thanks for your time, Cap. And Will turns and walks out.
As you turn, you actually someone. You open the door as someone's knocking on the glass, and there's a crewman there that's like, I'm sirs, it's just the changing of the shifts, and we needed someone to call it.
All right.
And he just sort of like backs away. Like you get the feeling he'd been like waiting to knock for a little while.
So normally with the changing of the shifts, is it like kind of a day to night shift, or is it a night to day shift?
So you guys, oddly enough, at this point, you guys kind of take three. There are 3 shifts. You don't quite have enough of a crew for 4, right? Because people have died. So there's sort of 3. So there's 3 shifts. But no, if narratively Lockridge, this is the night shift, then absolutely yes.
Yeah. Well, if it's a night shift, then Lockridge would call it, just knowing that Lockjaw and Will are having a conversation. Definitely wouldn't let the shift go by without like.
Oh yeah. So then, as he's saying that, and you're walking out, and he's being awkward, we hear Lockridge's voice from down below, and he goes, "Oh, so sorry." And he like scuttles down, like past you, to get downstairs. All right, Lockridge, Ruin. Do you guys have anything before sort of the end of this day scene before we move on to our next thing?
Oh, do I have something?
All right, yeah. What you got?
Lockridge has all the things. So, I'm gonna go talk to the guys who like had the rings, and we're gonna do something during the night shift to set some people straight.
Yeah, let's say this during the night watch. Let's say this: you're up on deck doing your normal thing up at the prow, and as you look around, you do see that there's one of the guys, and it's actually one of the guys that dropped his ring. It's the guy that had been standing in the doorway, and he's one of the ones that had like apparently didn't like what you had to say and left whatever this little cabal was.
Yeah. So I'm gonna basically wake up Morgan and the others who did stick around. Yeah.
Okay.
And my instruction to them is to take a small brown potato bag from the galley, grab them, gag them, and bring them to the port side behind where we keep like all the big barrels and stuff like that. Actually, no, where the anchor is, because I remember the anchor had a split in it, which led outside down the lower deck. I'm gonna bring them there.
So who is grabbing whom?
So all of the guys who kept the ring on will grab the 3 guys who left.
Took it off.
Yeah.
They're able to get everyone except for whoever's on the guy that was in the doorway, because it's on the top deck unless you tell them to.
No, that's fine. I'll instruct him.
Full view.
I'll instruct him to come with me, and then I'll lead him into an ambush.
Yes, so then you guys are down in, essentially it's the lowest hold. It's a hold where you almost have to crawl down here. You're so large. A normal, like a 6 foot tall person, a 6 foot tall human has to hunch. So you're almost crawling. But yeah, you're down here in the ballast hold. And yeah, they're gagged and hastily tied. You've got these 4 guys right there in front of you, and then there's 5 other guys beside you.
All right, as they roll there, I'm going to line them up next to the precipice leading down into the endless astral sea, and take off their bags one at a time. Lockridge puts down his rifle next to a barrel, and takes off his little tiny hat and sort of wipes the sweat from his brow. He says, now, I know that right now things are rather difficult, you know. Lots of tension in the air. We're miles, thousands and thousands of miles away from any notable port. People have very little hope, you know, after nearly starving to death. We did what we had to survive. And I think you all understand very clearly, given your storerooms filled to the brim with food and water, that there are things that some people must do in order to survive, especially in a situation like the dire one we find ourselves now. See, trouble is, though, is loyalty. Now that's something that shakes. I once went on safari, tiny planet, little small area, and we're supposed to be hunting apparently the most dangerous creature there. 6 days and 6 nights I travelled with a bunch of people. Day by day, slowly it began to eat at everyone. We'd not found tracks, we'd not found food, we hadn't even found any droppings. But we still moved further and further. You know who the first person to break was?
The guy just sort of clenches his jaw and stares back at you.
Oh, come on, have a guess. Do you think it was the big strong man? Or what about the small Sherpa who carried on his back all of the equipment? What about the survivalist?
He sort of his jaw sort of shifts a little bit, and then he sort of chins up at you to suggest that he says that you're the one that broke.
I'm the one that broke. Well, you're not entirely wrong. I was the one that broke first. But I didn't run. No, I realized very quickly that the reason why we couldn't find the creature while we were hunting it was because it was hunting us. It was traveling with us, you see. Tiny little creature. What I thought was just this tiny little crab turned out to have burrowed into the spine of our poor little Sherpa. Well, it's only one thing to do when somebody becomes corrupted. I then pick up the rifle again and I put it on my lap. I know that this didn't pan out the way that you wanted to. But I can't have people on the crew that's going to walk among us like crabs, you know. Little noises they make in your ears. Pisses me off, it does. So what are you? Are you a crew? Or are you crabs?
Please make an intimidation check with advantage.
Holy shit.
Alright, here we go. Oh, come on, baby. Alright, that's a 12. I might use my group inspiration on this one.
Okay, if you want to, go for it.
Let's try again. Come on. Are you kidding me? Come on.
So you had your...
Oh, wait. I have a divine intervention from Dazzle Sunstrider, which gives me another reroll. Thank you, Daz.
I want this to be a
What is happening?
Oh my god! I think roll 20 might be a bust, you guys.
Oh my lord.
So I want to point out that
What?
the highest highest I rolled
The highest the roll that
out of
there
6 rolls was a 12.
was a 12.
Yeah.
was
I'll
an
say
11
this.
without the modifier.
I think
You
the
can
highest
find-
roll today has been a 13. That's the highest.
Yeah.
You need to find like the old swamp hag you pissed off and apologize.
Yeah, right.
You are
Well,
dealing
we got
with
a
some
persuasion
cursed
of
shit
26.
right now.
We've had a couple. We've had one natural 20.
Yes,
So
I
here's-
really don't want to be captain.
That's it.
Here's what happened. Here's what happens. With a 12, the guy on the far right, you see that he wets himself.
Oh.
And you hear him through his hood just start saying, yeah, right. I just, we had a thought, but maybe we was wrong. Yeah, right. Well, I'm no crab. The woman in the middle, through the hood, you hear her say, I think what I think, and if you don't like what I think, well then just get it over with, or you let me have my own thoughts. The guy whose hood you've taken off, he's bound and they are gagged. They're answering you.
Oh yeah, no.
They weren't
I got
gagged
them
well.
to remove their gags.
Exactly. Perfect. The guy that's in front of you, he's still got his hands bound, sort of behind his back, and you see that he's been grinding his teeth this entire time, and he relaxes and sort of like nods his head and smiles, and his head is down, and he drops his shoulder, and he charges you.
Whoa.
I am assuming a 12 doesn't hit.
It does not.
So he hits. He makes contact. He drops his shoulder and he charges. Because you're like hunched down. And so like imagine like rugby scrum, but it's a professional rugby player and an 8-year-old. What would you like to do?
I'm going to just shove him off the boat.
You shove him back, and there's a little like doorway that can open up to like fix the chain, because it's not good to have a big open hole in your ballast. But you've had them open that up, and you shove him, and he stumbles backwards. I mean, there's nothing that can be done about that. And so you're out in the astral sea. So he just floats. He just floats away. And there's, in the astral sea, there's no food, there's no water. Like, you travel at a speed of thought, essentially. And as he's floating away, he flails, and he manages to sort of get his hood off of him. And as he floats away from you, and just a last second, as he sort of tumbles end over end, he manages to make eye contact, and you hear him shout out, "I will never rest till I find you, Lockridge," and he just floats off into the astral sea. The other two are still there in the room.
Yeah, I'll walk up to the woman, and I'm gonna adjust her straps, and I'm actually gonna take them off, and I'll say, "You want to know the difference between you and the person currently trying to swim his way home? It's not a bad idea to question the people in charge, but you definitely can't be a danger to them."
I guess we'll have a discussion of what's dangerous at a later date, then.
I'm the security chief, all of you. And what happened to him? That's to protect you as well as anyone else on this boat. And I'll do it again to anyone that threatens your lives. You can believe me or you cannot. I don't care. Won't change what's in here. And he'll bang on his chest where the empty medallion was, the one that he gave to Morgan. And he'll pick up his gun and go back to work.
Okay. All right. Throughout the rest of the evening, before the four of you are all asleep, let's say that it's Will and Ruin are going through more of the stores, and well, actually no, let's make this Will and Lockridge, because I know that you're already up for this one. Will and Lockridge, you're going through the stores of the rations that you found, and some of the goods and things like that. As a part of this, there is a like tapping at the storage room door, and like the doorway, and you see he's been given clothes now. He's dressed. It looks like he's eaten. He's a much more vibrant color of shade of teal. He doesn't look nearly as bad, but it's the Thrycreen that you rescued from the ship, and he taps on the door and sort of pokes it's a very mantis-like head in, and you both hear in your heads, which can be a little disconcerting at the first time because Thrycreen communicate telepathically. And they have a sort of stilted way of speaking, monotone, stilted way of speaking. So you hear in your heads at the same time him saying, hello, I wanted to be thankful to you for my rescue.
Well, you're very welcome. Here, come give us a hand while we get this sorted.
He comes up, and so Thrycreen have kind of two sets of arms, and he specifically crosses to Lockridge and holds his arms out, and his two lower arms sort of grasp your hand to shake your hand, as his two upper arms, he places them like gently towards the side of your head in some sort of. You haven't interacted necessarily with a lot of Thrycreen, but this seems to be a thing that he does as a form of greeting. And you hear in your head, Will does not. You hear in your head, I'm not sure that I would have made it. So the life I have is really thanks to you.
Well, if you want to do me the service of respecting the fact that we saved you from that other ship, then you live your life to the fullest. We need every able-bodied person to help us get through this, and well, let's just say Thrycreen might come in handy, eh? I sort of laugh and tap him on his forearms.
Yes. And then both of you hear, what is the purpose of this vessel?
Well, we're charting a path to Kryn space.
He starts making audibly a series of clicks and hisses and chittering sounds. And you see that he starts knocking things over in the storage room.
Hey, easy.
As you say easy and all of that, there's a large box that's like it's almost the size of him, and with all 4 arms. You salvaged it from the other ship. He starts trying to drag it out into the room.
Does this look like controlled movement? Like they're knocking things over? Was that like
no? Like he's the one that's doing it. He just started knocking.
Like he was like rummaging stuff.
Yeah, and then he finds this large box, and like he's trying to drag this large box out into the middle of the room. It looks like he's doing it on purpose himself.
Yeah. I'll give him a hand. I'll grab onto the box and just like help heft it to the middle of the room.
You drag it out into the middle of the room, and he starts trying to like he's clawing at the nails that are keeping the box closed.
Really quick, what's in there that you're so desperate to get out?
Help. It's help. It's loss and sacrifices and paper.
All right, works for me.
I'll grab hold of like a crowbar that we have, I imagine, somewhere for like opening boxes and things, and I'll just
Yeah, so you guys rip this open. It's full of like sawdust and wood shavings, and there's a bunch of pieces of metal and wood and crystal, and there's sheets of vellum and paper, and there's also like a thick leather-bound book in it. As you start to go through all of this, the Thrycreen reaches both of his hands out, and he touches both of you, and you feel a sense of warm electricity flow through your bodies. You are both now blessed. And he says, "Solve it," and he passes out. Solve it.
Lockridge, it looks like he was possibly saying something to you since you responded to him. Did he happen to say his name?
No, I didn't catch it. No, he just said thank you for helping him out, and that this life that he has is thanks to me pulling him out of there. Honestly, I just ran through the wall and he was just on the other side.
That is exactly what happened.
I'll write up a contract and just leave the name blank until he comes to before we get signatures.
All right. Well, I'm going to go upstairs and tell Lockjaw and Ruin about this weird little puzzle from him. But I think he's probably not going to get much sleep here. I'm going to take him to his quarters first. All right, come on, big boy.
All right, I'll start getting this organized while you grab the other two.
As you you're able to get him down and get everybody else into the room. While they're being gathered, you're able to sort of... what languages does Will speak?
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure just Common and Sylvan, but I do have Comprehend Languages, which is going to be cast as soon as Will sees...
You see language you don't recognize.
Yep, Comprehend Languages.
All right, so that gets cast. So in the time that it takes for them to come back down, and I'm assuming that you will simply describe to everybody what this is. So what all of you have in this box is described, and it's written in a multitude of language. There's Draconic in here, but there is Sylvan. There is Dwarven languages that are in here, as well as Abyssal and Underdark. It is a conglomeration of studies. Some of it is written in poetry, some of it is written in technical language, some of it is written in like narrative prose. This is a conglomeration of so many different ways of thinking. And as Will sort of reads it out loud to all of you as he's putting it all together, you all sort of realize why so many strange and disparate ways of thinking had to come together to create this. The astral sea functions on thought. You move at the speed of thought. Things aren't in fixed places in the astral sea. It's not like navigating an ocean, which makes navigating it perilous and difficult every single time. No trip is ever the same. There's no such thing as a charting a path in the astral sea. You realize that what these 5 races have come together to do is to create what they have called an astral beacon. These beacons are made of metal and precious metals and crystal, and they're imbued with raw magical essence. Essentially, this beacon, which is the size of like a 2-person personal rowboat. They're large things. These beacons, you would guess, could take anywhere from 2 to 5 days to build. But as they're being built, they have to be imbued with 5 spell levels from any number of people. As they're built, spell slots have to be given into it. What an astral beacon does is it is a fixed place in the astral sea. It doesn't move. It stays relative to everything else in the astral sea, despite the fact that they are not in fixed places. It could allow someone to chart a passage through the astral sea. It shines like a beacon. Any normal astrolabe that, like astrolabe, an astrolabe that every ship has can see one of these beacons. And as you finally read what's a part of it, you sort of understand why he says that sacrifice was a part of this. The final component of an astral beacon to make it work is that someone must freely and willingly sacrifice a memory to imbue the astral beacon. Their memory is, that single memory is gone. They give it up. The stronger and more meaningful the memory is to the person, the brighter the astral beacon will shine. But this could do something that, for as long as recorded history of the astral sea has never been accomplished before. You could chart a true navigable path through the astral sea. You all go to bed knowing that.
Well.
The next day, everyone gathers on the deck. Everyone knows what this is. Everyone knows why we're here. The coat was sent off with the captain, but her hat and her rapier sit on the helm. Everyone's on deck. The officers stand in a semicircle around. And after a few moments of silence from the crowd, you're not really sure who it is. You hear, "All right, well, who's it to be?"
Well,
Will looks at Lockjaw.
I'm going to be stepping up. And I know that it is a step up. You've all known me as a carouser, a drinker, the saltiest of dogs. But the captain knew that I was behind her and that I would be behind this ship. And if I needed to get out the back and push it my own self, I would. There's no one who cares more about this ship. But you all have the choice about who you want to serve. I'm stepping up as the order dictates. First mate, now captain. If you don't like it, well, I can't keep you here, but I assure you, deep space is a lot colder and harsher than my tenure on this ship will be. Who's with me?
Okay. So a few things happen. You hear a lot of eyes. I suppose I need to ask from Will, Lockridge, and Ruin.
Maybe.
What do we hear?
Definitely an eye.
There's an
I
eye.
can't hear you.
I, Lockridge.
Betrayal! I shoot Lockjaw in the head.
Oh no.
No, I don't.
You hear a lot of eyes, but you don't hear all eyes. And as the crowd on the deck sort of shuffles itself around, you see about a third of the crew standing behind two people, Tig, the deep gnome, and Balawin, the older human, the blonde human who got punched in the face. And Tig is wearing leather armor, takes her jacket off and is wearing leather armor. Balawin sort of shrugs off the blanket he'd been wearing and has chainmail underneath it. And Tig steps forward and says, "Well, you drunk old fool, the way I see it, you, Captain, can condemn, half of your crew to death in the middle of a mutinous fight because you think you've got what it takes. Or you can step up as captain to face me, you and me and my exo, against you and yours." And she draws two short swords as Baalwin pulls out a mace and a shield. What would Lockjaw like to say in return? So she's challenging you to a one-on-one or war.
Yeah. As far as I can see it, the only one condemning us to violence is you stupid old daughter of a biscuit eater. I'm not about to break out war, but it looks like you're not going to go down without a fight. Is that right?
She just sort of cracks her neck in response. And you see the folks behind her, like, they don't know which way this is going, and some of them start to reach for their weapons too.
I wouldn't do that to the ones behind.
Yeah.
Tig.
I think I'm addressing more that, I'm going to shoot like a look to the ones behind him.
Okay.
Yeah, Will is speaking up to make it clear that's not just Lockjaw who is standing on this side.
So is Lockjaw's intention to
I'm calling her out.
Calling her out?
Yeah, she's the one who's just basically like come in, then guns are blazing, and I'm just like, this is a bit ridiculous, You're the one who's.
So then my question for Lockjaw before as we end this session, who does Lockjaw make eye contact with to join her as her exo?
Oh, as in for my second.
Because you were the exo, now you're the captain. That means there's an open spot. So who do you call in to be your XO and to do this fight with you?
Hmm.
I mean, obvious choice is Ruin.
100%. Absolutely wrong.
Yeah, I'm not even going to be there for the fight. Oh. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like I want Will as my XO, but Lockridge is my boy.
It's a tough call. First tough call as captain.
It is. It is a
Who's
tough
going to
call.
serve you better now, and who's going to serve the ship?
It's true, because you're getting into a fight.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Mm.
It's just like, yeah, for logic reasons, I want Will, but when it comes to fighting, it's your boy. That's right, the two locks.
All right. So I take it that as they make eye contact, Lockridge steps forward.
Oh yeah, Lockridge will not make it subtle. Like I imagine Lockridge was sitting, and so he'll stand up and like tower just as he walks up to the stage. I'm not even gonna move people out of the way. I'm just gonna like walk and part them as they sort of like fall off him as he's making his way up next to him. And he says, "I've got your back."
The first thing that we will do next week is roll for initiative, but that wraps us up for this week's episode.
Yeah.
So
Can I super quickly say that Lord Garthan had a great name. Tag team name is Lockdown.
Lockdown.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Also, again, Lord Garthan getting the audience MVP here. Also, earlier between Tucker and Ellen, Lord Garthan chimed in that was the most amazing scene between Data and Worf.
Truly.
So listen, thank you everybody for joining this week. What an audience. This was absolutely fantastic. And oh my Lord, players, so much drama and so like amazing moments in the way that you handled what was essentially an entire session of social role play. That was absolutely fantastic. So thrilled to be back at it. Next week, I think Ellen will not be able to join us. Is that correct?
No, I think I'm good.
You're good. Oh no, then you're great. Then fantastic. I have my dates wrong. So then that's great. Well, listen, I want to say thank you to everybody and get to know everyone that's there. So that you have the least amount of talking to do. Why don't we start off with our very wonderful Michael? This is your place. That is your face. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Michael. I'm the Deadless Gamer. This is my place. This is my very sore face, which, as those of you who follow me on social media know, I've had 2 wisdom teeth out. So thank you for being patient with me, and thank you to my GM and fellow cast members for sharing the space and continuing to make me look awesome. Because that's what we do. We look awesome together, and I love these games. These are just so amazing. As for what we have going on. Actually, I've got nothing special going on, so if you just follow my channel either here or on Twitch, you'll be privy to all of the cool games that I'm running. I have a few new projects lined up that I'm working on in the background. I was waiting till I got back from PAX Australia to do them, so they're not ready for announcement yet, but do stay tuned to this channel and many more adventures that will happen. That's me.
Absolutely. And then on the screen up there next to Lockridge is our wonderful Lockjaw, played by Ellen. Let us know where we can find you, what you've got going on in your life, and all of that fun stuff.
That's right. It's lockdown, baby. You can find me as always at Roll to Cast, which is any winning variety TTRPG podcast. Each season is a different game system, so there is something for everyone. The episodes are fully scored, fully acted, and about 30 to 40 minutes, which is great for your commutes. Nice bite-sized episodes for a contained season. We've played everything from Cyberpunk, Vampire the Masquerade, Pulp Cthulhu, Kids on Bikes, Witcher. We're currently doing Avatar Legends, which is the latest game by Magpie Official, which I believe is coming out for pre-order soon. I think pre-order is available now, so check out that. Make sure you subscribe, like it, leave a review, and for our monthly live stream,
join us on the 30th of this month as we play some Dark Heresy. Yay! And of course, see me on Sirenscape Friday mornings for Cyberpunk Red, and monthly you can find me on Cybernation Uncensored for June. Yeah, that's right. We're in Arrakis, baby. That's me.
Awesome. And then Ruin, played by the amazing Nyx. Where can we find you? What have you got going on? You've got some cool Halloween themed etchings. Am I correct?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Nyx. You can find me here on Twitch. Where am I at? What day
Twitch.
is it?
You're on Twitch.
Oh, Twitch. At Punkle Nyx. Most everywhere else, MC Etching or some variation thereof. My Shopify store, I'm doing 25% off for the spooky season, and I've got some cool spooky glassware if that's your jam.
Yeah, they are really cool. Like I keep seeing them, and they are absolutely awesome. Right next to Nyx is Tucker, who plays Will for us, the designer of the 3D rendered Northwest. What have you got going on, and where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at shadowcast.creations. Email for any commission questions or anything like that at shadowcast.creations@gmail.com, or on Twitter at shadowcast3dm. I don't have anything in particular planned right now, but yeah, keep an eye on those spaces. Contact me if you have any questions.
And I am Ryan. I am half of a Roll for Initiative. You can find us on YouTube, and you can find us at R4I Vlog on Twitter and on Instagram, and on so all this month on YouTube we are doing a Halloween themed. Every single video is all about horror RPGs, from movies to inspire it to some of the things that we think are really great. So check us out. We even got ourselves a spooky little Halloween horror themed intro that was fun just for this month of videos. I am a massive horror fan, so I love that I get to do 4 videos for the entire month that are all about horror, which is really great. So please go check that out at Roll for Initiative on YouTube. And we will see you all next week to see how this rumble goes down. We've decided our captain, and there's a challenger to the seat. So who will it be at the end of the day? Lockjaw or Captain Tig? Join us next week to figure it out. Until then, bye, everybody. We are going to raid
the Dragons and Things Network, or the DAT Network.
All right, fantastic. Hang out for that raid, and we'll see y'all next week.
Raid. Bye.
Raid.
Raid.
Ooh.
Raid?
Right?
We're getting there.
Raid?
And
Bye.
Raid.